Alrighty guys, so welcome to the next part of the course. We're going to be going over demand zones today. This is probably where the course starts to get a lot more interesting. So let's get started. So to draw demand zones, we're going to look to the left of the chart. You want to find a basing candle followed by a strong move to the upside. And you want this strong move to ideally, you want it to occur on the candle directly following that basing candle. And the basing candle for demand zones must be a red basing candle, not a green. And the zone for this demand zone starts from the bottom of the wick and goes to the top of the body. And that is the zone. So let's start charting some zones here. I'm just going to remove all of my drawings on this chart, make a fresh chart. We'll take all these off. So let me see if I should, let's go over one more slide here. So demand zones can be on any time frame, and we just want to see a consolidation followed by a strong violent move to the upside with some sort of continuation with that move. And then you want to start on a higher time frame. So usually you start on a daily time frame, then go 6 hour, 5 hour, 4 hour, 3 hour, 2 hour, 90 minute, 1 hour, 45 minute, 30 minute. And then you only use zones below 30 minute for intraday zones. You don't want to be looking at like a 15-minute chart to find zones from like a week ago. It's too small of a time frame. It's not going to be the highest quality setup. And this is how I do it. You can really look at any time frame you want, but just start high and go low. And then again, the reason these zones work is because there's a ton of institutional passive buy orders sitting in these demand zones. So the next time we come down to these zones, there's a high probability that you will have an imbalance in buy and sell orders. So more buy orders and reverse to the upside. So let's take a look. So this is on the ES, right? So let me clear this. Will that clear that? No. Okay. Anyway, so we're going to start on a daily time frame. And again, demand zones, we look to the left of the chart and we want demand zones to be below the price right now. So there's not going to be any demand zones over here because we have to look for zones like down here, right? And there's nothing from recently because we are dropping lower in the market. But let me show you, like this right here, you'd think is probably a demand zone, right? There's a red, it's a basing candle. It's got a nice buying wick, which is also a good sign for our demand zones because it kind of just shows that there are more buyers present in this area. And how you would have drawn this zone is from the bottom of the wick to the top of the body. So I'm using the price range tool on TradingView to draw this. So you go from the bottom of the wick to the top of the body. That's how you draw it, right? You see we came into this zone, kind of had a somewhat of a bounce, but not really any bounce, and we ended up dropping below the zone down here and traded below this zone. So this zone's now it's no longer valid because we have traded below the zone. So that's not a valid zone at the moment. So we're going to look back to the left of the chart. This is the price over here. So we're going to look below the price. So a daily zone that we could be looking at. Let's see if I can find a really, really good one. Let's look here. So here we have a good daily zone. We have a red basing candle. And this isn't the strongest move to the upside, but the next candle is very strong and there's good continuation with this move. So what I'm going to do is draw this zone from the bottom of the wick to the top of the body. And a good kind of like thing you should be thinking of is you want this next candle after the basing candle to be around twice as big as this candle. And I usually just do like twice as big as what the zone would be. So it's close to what it'd be. So that's how I'm gonna draw that zone. And then I'm gonna take this horizontal ray tool and then just label it a daily zone so I know what kind of zone we're coming into. So let's keep looking. You might be thinking over here, maybe there's some zones, but it's kind of just choppy. And maybe you could say this zone right here is a zone just because there's a big buying wick and there's decent follow through. If you charted that, put that as our daily zone, you see we came into it, bounced out, came into it, bounced out again. So if it doesn't look like the best zone, like this is a pretty big candle, so it's not really the best basing candle. A basing candle would be more like a doji candle, but we did bounce off this zone, so it's looking like it could be a good zone. But let's look at more where the price is at right now. So here we could be looking at a zone right around here. So this is a kind of somewhat of a basing candle, good continuation afterwards, which is kind of the most important part. And the reason I like this zone, although we didn't have the biggest next candle, right? It's about the same size as this candle. We had a bounce right here, and we bounced out of that, right? So that's a pretty decent zone. And if we look over here, we have bounced out of this zone previously. We bounced here, bounced here, bounced here. So it's looking like that's a pretty good zone, right? So if you took this long for like a swing trade, right, like on this day, once we had a buying wick on this candle, you could have made like 80 points on ES just in that day. And it looks like at the moment we are coming back into that zone. So now after we've done the daily zones, I'm going to go down to the 6 hour zones. And again, there's no zones over here, simply because we're looking for prices below the actual price, or zones below the price, and there's nothing right here. So we have to look back all the way over here. And, you know, another zone, there's kind of a zone inside of this daily zone, right? So this has a buying wick, pretty decent rally on this next candle, and then pretty good follow through. So you could also chart this out right there. Bottom of the wick, top of the body, put that, label it as our 6 hour zone. And then you can overlap these if you want. It just means the brighter green is where they intersect. Or you could just put like a line. So you could not have this zone, you could just have it like that if you want. And that's more personal preference, right? But it does not affect anything. And if we look back over here, you see we actually did like bounce off of this 6 hour zone, kind of like right where we intersected right here, right? And we also kind of bounced off 6 hour here, but then we traded down here into this daily zone, but we still held above it, so we could leave that for now. We can leave that 6 hour zone for now. So let's look back over here, see if we see anything else for a 6 hour. So doesn't look like anything else over here at the moment. So let's check now the 5 hour and see if there's anything there. 5 hour zone, there's not going to be anything over here. So let's look over here to the below the price. And I kind of like this right here. So this is a little bit different way of drawing this one. So this is kind of a red basing candle, right? And a pretty good rally afterwards. Except this candle drops below where this zone would be. So that's how you'd usually draw the zone, right? But I'm just going to extend this zone to the bottom of that wick, simply because we did drop down a little bit past this zone, but we still rallied hard afterwards. So I'm just going to extend it to there and label that 5 hour. And you only want to extend it if it's still a good rally afterwards and there's good continuation, which there was. So that's a pretty decent 5 hour zone. and doesn't look like there's anything else over here. Let's keep looking this way. Not seeing much. So here's kind of a 5-hour zone. Right here. Kind of have a little basin candle, pretty good rally to the upside. So you could draw this out. Bottom of the wick, top of the body. Put that as 5-hour. And let's that's all I see for now for 5 hours. So let's go to 4-hour. Again, nothing over here. Let's look this way. 4-hour. We've already charted out most of the zones, and sometimes you'll see a zone inside of a zone. Like this is kind of a red basin candle and a pretty like an okay rally afterwards, not a ton, but you could say just put a line inside this zone and label that 4-hour. Put the line at that top of the body. Label that a 4-hour zone, so it's kind of just inside the zone, so it's not as, you know, it's just like this. You don't have a box inside of a box. That's more personal preference. And, ooh, I also like, this is a really good zone right here. So this is a good, nice rally to the upside, a little basin candle, and another good rally afterwards, right? So I'm going to draw this out, bottom of the wick, top of the body. Put that as a 4-hour zone, and you see we came over here and we bounced off of it like four different times there, right? So this 5-hour zone that we drew a minute ago, let's take a look back at that. Like this wasn't the best zone that we could have possibly drawn because, you know, we had to extend it down to this candle, and, you know, we dropped inside this zone. So how you trade this, right? Since this 4-hour zone right here that we drew, this lighter green area is the 4-hour, and where the 5-hour and 4-hour intersect. So this area, if price drops down into this 5-hour zone, there's a good chance we don't bounce right away. But once we touch this 4-hour zone, this lighter green area, we might get some more buyers because that's a better zone, and then we might reverse back up. So that's you know, don't expect to bounce right off this 5-hour simply because it's not the most beautiful zone. But this 4-hour zone is very good. And then over here, not really seeing anything else. So let's move to the 3-hour. Where are we? Okay, so 3-hour. This is from recent, right? So 3-hour zone. We have this red basin candle, a good buying wick off of it, and a nice rally, and even a little gap to the upside. So this is a pretty good 3-hour zone. I'm just gonna put a line there so I just know when the zone is starting, because it goes pretty deep into these other zones. So I'll just put a line saying it starts there. And again, this 6-hour, so it's trading inside of our 6-hour zone right now. So we could keep coming down to this 3-hour. But that's a pretty good 3-hour zone because we got a nice rally, a little base, pretty solid. So let's keep looking back. So this again, right here, would be probably a 3-hour zone. A good buying wick, little basin candle, a nice rally to the upside. Could say that's a 3-hour zone. But it's so close to this 4-hour zone, it's like 9 points away. So you don't need to draw that because it's still inside of our demand zone. And excuse me, that is there's also this zone. There's 2 zones right here. We have a little basin candle here, followed by a good rally to the upside, so I'm going to draw that right there, 3-hour. And here I'm not going to draw that zone. You could maybe put a line there saying that's a 3-hour, and you see we've kind of bounced out of that. So again, not a bad zone. So now we're collecting a lot of zones over here. So we probably won't need to, you know, create our new demand zones too often once we have all these charted. You can kind of just log on and update any that's from recent and then leave these. So let's check the 2 hour now. Nothing over here. And if we go this way, here's a good 2 hour zone right here. So we have a nice buying wick, little basin candle, decent rally to the upside. I'm going to draw that guy out. And that will be a 2 hour zone. And then I think that's all I'm going to draw for that. Let's see. Yeah, nothing else over here. Okay, so now let's go after the 2 hour to the 90 minute. And again, if you don't have all these zone or these time frames up here, you can just click this drop down and add custom times down here. But 90-minute time frame, no demand over here. Go back over this way. Looks like nothing new over here. Yeah, it doesn't look like any new zones over here. So now I'm just gonna go to the 1 hour. See if there's anything from recent, and it doesn't look like it. So moving on from that, going back over here. 1 hour zones, not seeing any. We already got a lot of good demand zones charted out. Yeah, I'm not seeing much. Yep. So that's all for 1 hour. Let's go 45 minute. And these 45 minute and 30 minute zones, we might start seeing zones more from recent. So here's like obviously a red basin candle, and there's a nice rally to the upside, but there's just not enough momentum for me to draw this on these from these two candles to the upside. They didn't really rally, and there's kind of selling wicks on all of them. So that doesn't really indicate the buyers are super strong there. So I'm not going to draw that. And then we already have good zones from over in the past. So 30 minute again, not really anything going on there. So that's all these zones that we are going to draw for those. And you see we've had a few good bounces off these zones already in the past week, which can provide good trades. So yeah, that's how we draw demand zones. And the key thing to remember, you want to look for a little red basin candle, something like a doji. And then you want the next candle to be roughly twice as big with some nice continuation to the upside. Yeah, so that is it for how we draw demand zones. What's on the next slide? So yeah, we'll cover more demand zones in the next video. So on to the next one.